Hello once again, and welcome back to another monthly tour. We're now at the beginning of June, so I'm going to do another quick walk around the garden, show you what's been going on. May's been interesting weather-wise. We've still had cold nights, couple of late-ish frost middle May here in Suffolk, but you know, getting warmer. Days are starting to get a bit warmer. We've not quite hit the kind of 10 degrees overnight temperatures, but I'm starting to plant out some of the more tender things. So we've had no rain now for a couple of weeks, so I've just finished watering the garden, which is starting to turn into a large job again like last year, so I'm fingers crossed for some rain. As you can see, the pond is looking really quite good. It needs a bit of a top up again, but you know, I can't keep putting the hose in there. So fingers crossed we do actually get some rain coming through. But you can see down there the Thalia delbata is starting to spring back through. Next to the rhododendron, which you'll now see is being moved to the pond just so it gets a bit of a drink every now and again, because I keep forgetting about it, is the Xanthodecia white giant, or Hercules. Hasn't really done anything this year. I pulled it out because of obviously the frost. It turned it all to mush on the top. There was signs of life, so I'm hoping it's just late. I probably need to stick it a bit deeper into the pond to really kickstart it. We'll go over the bridge. Everything is looking a little bit sad, but it's all just been watered, so hopefully tomorrow it will pop back up again. I've planted out today. You'll see down here some little Mina lobata, the Spanish flag, and the same on this side. So that will hopefully fill this trellis this year, give me some foliage and some flowers later on in the year. The begonia is starting to sprout out now, and it's taking up a little bit more area. It was probably, this is the main plant from a few years ago, and you can see it's crept out about 6 to 8 inches in both directions, so that will hopefully keep going. The gunnera isn't doing a lot, but it was so tiny after last year, having been right up against the hedge. All of this is still quite mushy, but we are starting to get, I mean, compared to most gunneras, that's tiny, and this is a tinctoria, so you know, it does get quite large leaves. I'm actually going to some garden centres tomorrow, so if I find myself something, I might treat myself to a new gunnera to plant and fill in there and get big this year, and I'll keep that one going as a backup. Everything around here is still doing absolutely fine. The Melianthus major starting to sprout, and I think I've got a branch that's layered itself, so hopefully I'll be able to lift that and move that to another area. The basdew have started to shoot. You can see, I mean, this trunk is probably needs to be taken right down, but there's a new couple of pseudo stems down the bottom there looking fine. All of the spring bulbs in here are probably ready to be cut right back. Suffered literally no red lily beetle damage this year. Have noticed a few on my tree lilies, only 2 so far. I've removed them, so we'll see how they go. The brugmansias have escaped from the bath upstairs. I keep them in the bathroom over winter, and I've just planted them out today, and I gave this Fagecia a bit of a haircut, cut it back so I could get through. The Aureocolis vivax, as you can see, is starting to shoot. This one's come a little bit of a distance from the main plant. It has got weed barrier all the way back here, so it is protected. It's open on this side, which I'm probably going to sort out later on this year in the autumn, but I mean, that's probably the size, thickness of my thumb at the moment, so 3/4 of an inch, and a couple more over there. You can see the first of the largest culms there. Finally, the Banksian rose is out in flower, so I can show you what I was talking about, why this is one of my favourite roses, one of my favourite plants actually, to be fair. This is completely thornless, not a thorn in here. I can run my hand all over it, absolutely fine. And it's a little bit overgrown this year, as you can see. It's swamped onto the Fagecia, but you know, it's doing okay in there now. I did lose this over the winter. I think, to be fair, I think I lost it last summer during the drought. I never water it. It was a member of the potato family, the tree. Is it Solanum? Something like that, purple with the yellow centres, which is a real shame. It was here when we moved in. It was never particularly healthy because it used to rub up against this fence, which is why you can see all of this here. But I mean, the giant grass has literally just expanded and expanded. As you can see, the centre is pretty empty. There's a few bits and pieces in there, so that's probably why I'm thinking this whole area this autumn winter is going to be redone. I can get the old Solanum out and lift this. It's at least probably 2 meters across now, so that needs to be lifted, take out some clumps and replant it, and then I can plant along the fence and things. Coming along here, all the Eucomis bulbs are starting to pop through. The Persicaria is looking good now. Even got some figs on the trees. He says, and I can't find any. There we go. Just some little ones, so they're probably not going to ripen this year. There's a few, I don't know if I can see them without the sun. You can see the silhouette. It's, you know, not too small, so it might actually ripen this year. We'll see. The Sycamensis hasn't really done a lot, but it never does until at least July. And a few more in there, and another one over the back there. I can't remember if I've done this before on the last video or not, but the volcano has been thinned out. Persicaria have tried to take a few cuttings, so I'll see how that all goes. One of my wisterias is starting to come out into bud. The other one, which is just around the corner, is finished flowering about a week or so ago now. Last weekend we went to a local garden fair and I managed to pick up this little beauty. This is Aloe arborescens variegata, to go with the Aloe striatulas I have, and a couple of agaves for hopefully a front garden project if I ever get round to it. Yucca's still doing absolutely fine. Canatani is now about 10-12 inches tall, about a foot tall roughly, so it's getting some height. The bamboo along here, the Fagecia fence, is still going well. Push past this. This Brugmansia is going to go into a pot this year. It had a couple of little treats in that pot, so I'll show you them in a minute. The silk tree is looking really good. Came through unheated greenhouse absolutely fine. Here's the wisteria that's finished flowering. This was absolutely gorgeous. I draped it over this and you can see the racems. The racems were just dangling down in the full sun, looking gorgeous. Rheum palmatum is, get out the sun again, flowering. That's now about 8 foot tall, so that's only its second or third year in the ground, so it's doing well. This black bamboo, still no sign of flowering that I've noticed. Pushing up good new culms still. And here is one of the beds I've been working on with a new addition. Not one of the B&M ones, although I suspect it's more than likely even from the same field in Spain. But this was from my local garden centre. It was a little bit more than the B&M, but it's right on my doorstep, and the nearest B&M with a garden centre is about an hour away each way. So I'm standing about level with it, so it's about a 4 foot trunk. Then at the garden fair I also managed to pick up, the first time I've seen them, pink china. So I've wanted pink china for a couple of years now, and I was really considering actually going up to Yorkshire Chris's open day later on in the year just to try and get them. But there was a seller there. I had a few. Everything in there is doing fine though, except the new planted Akebia. It's not really done anything. I've just scraped down at the bottom and there is still green, but there's no life to the top half, so fingers crossed that comes through. Then I've planted out a passiflora down here. No idea what one or colour or anything. It's one my wife picked up from the supermarket, so we'll get that surprise later on in the year. Canatani, a little bit of slug damage, but you know, that's just one leaf out of probably 50 shoots already. You'll notice there's a few little plug seedlings throughout the garden bed. They're all amaranthus. I think they're the red looking ones, just to kind of fill out the garden. And I think probably some more eucomis, I think, looking at it. Tetrapanax, as you can see, is now starting to shoot. So this branch has no new shoots on it, so that is gone. This one lost about a foot, and this one has lost about 2 foot. It's about 2 years of growth on that branch, but you can see, you know, really putting out loads of new shoots, and you'll probably see them dotted all around, pups everywhere. So guess I'll be lifting them again this year, even under the bench. All the new potatoes have just come out. Cleared it all out today for stuff that's got to be planted, and we've got all the tomatoes in there. The raised bed here, you can see more of the amaranthus planted through. Dahlias starting to shoot through, and I actually noticed once I weeded today, the first of the ginger shoots have started to poke through. Didn't actually think any of them survived, but that cane there in the centre, just in front of the dahlia, has a ginger clump there. It was all soft and squidgy, so I stuck my spade in, lifted it out, and then found that there was a few little white shoots at the very, very, very bottom of it starting to shoot through. So I've stuck it back, so expect them to probably start to come through in the next 1 to 2 weeks. You'll also notice, apart from the fact there's another Brugmansia there, the Acacia delbata has now been cut down. I went to pull it out today, and the trunk itself snapped because it was dead, which, you know, I expected. The roots, however, do look like there's life, so I have left them with the stump. I'll give it this year to see if it shoots. If it doesn't shoot, then it's probably going to be with the bin. The Schefflera Taiwania, actually the top growth got frosted off, but I mean, you can see there's like 8 new branches there, plus down here, that's the main stem. I've got this one which is about 3 or so foot tall, and then several down here, so this is doing absolutely fantastically. Hibiscus is doing fine, Ligularia is doing fine. This is, I forget which variety, one of the more normal ones, the kidney shaped ones. This doesn't wilt anywhere nearly as bad as the Przewalski ones that were over there. Then this bed here up to the volcano, which has been moved from one of the other beds, looked like that down there last week. I spent a full day weeding through here. I've just planted out the French beans because I need something to fill the space while I grow it. At least I hope they're French beans. I'm not sure which ones were the French, which ones were the runners. And then I've got the Achillea terracottas still being protected, but to be fair, they're getting quite sizable, so I can probably lift them and weed them. Some of the cannas coming through. The volcano has been transplanted, and then on the back of this bed behind the Brugmansia, another Fortunii. Yes, a went to get one, and it was such a good deal that I decided, you know what, I might as well get a second one. It was actually going to go over where the ream is, but there's so little space there now, it just felt like I was cramming it in. So I thought, well, it can go in here for the moment, and if I need to move it, I can move it. This has actually recovered from the heavy frost damage and is now already flowering. To be fair, this bed has not got a lot in it at the moment. I still need to figure out what I'm filling it with, which is why I planted the amaranthus. We'll start to go down. The stocks that I've had from one of my customers that I lifted that they didn't want have reflowered again this year. So to be fair, this is just a kind of stick it in and just forget about it kind of area. There's a mahonia for a long-term plant. There's another mahonia in there somewhere, and then another little one directly in the centre over there. All the daffs are starting to collapse now, so probably getting to the point where I'm just going to chop all the heads off so I can get in and get some of the weeds out. The cycad has done fine. I think that's come through the winter unscathed. It's a little bit yellow now, but nothing too bad, hopefully. The tree fern, not Dixonia, the other one, forget what they're called, is dead. So that's fit for the bin. What have we got in here at the moment? I don't think there's anything particularly interesting. Sweet corn, that's about it. Cleome and amaranthus. Amaranthus for days. I sowed a whole packet and probably got 95% germination. The Cleome were probably about 50-50, I would have thought, looking at it. Anyway, back out. This Akebia, unlike the other one which is new, this one's been in for several years and is just wows me every year. This dark variety is so nice against the lime green of the foliage. I know every plant is my favourite, but I really do like this one for how easy it is. I don't really water it. I watered it a little bit last year, but that was really about it. My wife's two roses, which I think are blue for you, are doing well and actually have a nice fragrance to them. The Prunus cerula is doing well. I probably actually need to give that water. I haven't watered that for a little while. The Indian bean tree, the Purpurea, is doing fine. All the peonies are out in flower. The elders, dark elders, two of them made it. This one did not. I have no idea why a dark elder would have died in this winter, but hey ho. And you can see, I mean, this is really weedy. I need to get in here. Some more gingers. And then this is the bed where I've changed the edging. So obviously now I can't get the mower in, but I'm probably just going to leave it this year, let it do whatever it wants, because I can't really find the time to do anything for this. I will just point out the Lacy Thalictrum, because I know my wife loves this. This is seed from the field near us where it was growing wild, and just self-sown itself throughout the border now. The two Philostachys is not doing too great, but I am trying to keep on top of watering them to get them to come through. Then in here, somewhere down there, is a little Melianthus major amongst all the poppies. The giant tree lilies again. Everything in here is doing fine except for the Clematis armandii, which I'm 95% sure has died. I think it's probably down to me. I completely forgot to water that and the Akebia for about 3 weeks when I first planted them. The Akebia seems to have survived, whereas the Clematis, certainly everything above ground has died. I did plant it deep to help prevent Clematis wilt, so maybe the roots will reshoot at some point, but I also need to weed it. Right, quick last walk through and then we'll call it at the end of the video. Hopefully the next one will be not another month away. I'll do another update of the gingers and cannas once they start to really kind of shoot through. And I'm going to another garden centre tomorrow, hopefully to pick up a few more little bits and pieces, and hopefully this sunshine continues, but fingers crossed for some actual rain. So I will see you next time.